video is going to be more on the serious note. I haven't really talked about this before, and there's not a lot of videos really about this. I mean, there's a few, but like there's not a lot, so I thought maybe I should make a video on this subject. And if you are wondering what I'm talking about Plagiocephaly, Brachycephaly, torticollis, and plagiocephaly and brachycephaly, or however the heck you pronounce that, it is like flathead syndrome, whatever. It is where the child has a flat spot on the back of their head. Now, it could be caused from two different things. Number one is torticollis, which is stiffness of the neck, which causes them to turn their head to one side, which when they're young and they are on their backs most of the time, and you know, the doctors say to put them to sleep on their backs most of the time. That's what causes the plagiocephaly, which is like torticollis, which is stiffness of the neck muscles, which causes their head to be one direction. And when they're facing one direction, it's putting pressure on just one part of their head, which causes flat spot. And this happens like in their early stages, like when they're first born up to 1 year old. And it can be corrected with a treatment, which is helmets. They're called helmets, dock bands, whatever, star bands, whatever. Those are given to babies with moderate to severe flat spots that cannot be corrected on their own. And Kayson had plagiocephaly, which is flattening of one side of his head. So like from the top view, one side was really flat and the other side was not. And what caused this is when he was born, he was in the NICU, and I think they had him turned a certain direction like the whole time because he had like things hooked to him, and I think that's what caused his plagiocephaly. I'm not totally sure. So that's what I thought at first, and then I did notice that Kayson can only turn his head to one side, and it's because he had torticollis, like I said, which is the stiffness in the neck, which makes it hard for them to turn their head, so they're more likely to favor that one side of their head. And I noticed it started getting progressively worse. So at about 3 months old, his head was so flat, like he was in the severe range. And so I was like, you know what, I need to bring this up to my pediatrician. So I took him in, he evaluated his head. He's like, yeah, his head's pretty flat. I'm gonna give you a referral to go to Cranial Technologies. If you don't know what that is, it is the company that issues helmets, and they call theirs the dock band. It is like a styrofoam type weird plasticky material helmet, and they put it on their head, and it's supposed to prevent them from laying their head on that one side, and it's also supposed to relieve the pressure from them, you know, turning their head to that side because it's flat, so they're gonna favor that side, and so it stops them from favoring that side, and it helps correct the asymmetry. And when your baby has flathead syndrome, it does give them some asymmetry in their jaw. Their forehead can come out more on one side from their head being pressed, so it causes like everything to shift. And the dock band is supposed to correct the flat spot, make their head a little round. Not like, it doesn't ever go back to like being perfectly round, but it does fix it enough where it fixes the asymmetry of the face and the flat spot on the head, which makes it look more normal. And I'll show you Kayson. Kayson had total of three helmets. He had to have 3 helmets to fix his flat spot. That's how severe it was. And I actually have one in here that I will show you. So I only have the first one. This is the first one he was given at 3 months old. It's kind of dirty, put some stickers on it, painted it, and it has like a strap. Looks like this on the inside. It has like whole like shaped cutouts for their ears and stuff. So this is what he would wear on his head to correct it. He was supposed to be in it for a total of about 2 months. I'm not sure exactly how many weeks, but 2 months. And then, so every other week you would go and get it adjusted. They would shave it down. They like shave down the inside. They shave it down every other week because babies' heads grow rapidly, so he'd have to go in every other week to get it shaved down, and so that it could basically fit as his head grew. Now, Kayson had 3 helmets because his was really severe, like I said. It did fix his asymmetry in his forehead and his face, but his flat spot is still kind of noticeable. And so if you're ever watching my videos and notice his head is a little weird, it's because he did have very severe plagiocephaly. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you're a bad mom, doesn't mean anything. It is not your fault if your child has that. So if anyone tells you, oh, is it because you weren't holding him enough? No, it is not your fault. It is the baby favoriting the one side of their head due to torticollis or positioning in the womb as well. Can play a big role in that. So I just want to get on here and like tell you like Kayson's story. So like I said, at 3 months, he went and got his first helmet. He wore that for 2 months. And let me just tell you, it was really hard. Like, he had it during the summer and it was hot. He was always really sweaty. His cheeks were always flushed. His head, like when I would take it off to like give him a bath, his head would be drenched in sweat. He would cry and scream every time he'd wear it. It just was not a fun experience. It was really hard at nighttime having him wear it because he would just cry and would not sleep with it on. It was just not fun. And he had to have 3 helmets, so I had to go through this 3 times. He had to go through this 3 times. He went to daycare. They would not leave it on. They kept taking it off. You know, they're supposed to wear it 23 hours a day with a 1-hour break. And his daycare would just always take it off, saying, oh, he's too hot. Oh, he won't take a nap. We have to take it off. Like, they just kept taking it off. So the progress was not as significant as some other babies that I've noticed that would go into the clinic. So he went in again at 5 months and they gave him his 2nd helmet. And now the 2nd helmet, he did wear a lot more than the 1st helmet. And so I did start to see a little bit of progress in his head. His head did start to round out a little bit. The flat spot did come out just a little bit. And so I was kind of happy, so I continued having him wear it. I sent him to daycare. Again, they started taking it off, leaving it off, telling me he was too hot, etc., etc. And so I was kind of getting annoyed. I said, please do not take this off. You know, I bring him here in light clothing for a reason, so you guys do not have to take, you know, the helmet off. At naps, just don't put blankets on him. Just don't do anything like that, and he'll be fine. And of course, they didn't listen to me. They kept continuing to take the helmet off, stuff like that. So, and then around 8 months, he got his 3rd helmet. And the 3rd helmet, he barely wore. Because again, he was at daycare and they kept taking it off. And then when I took it off for his hour break, my dogs got a hold of it and they chewed it up. I put it on like the counter, pushed all the way back, and they managed to pull it down, chew it up. So I just gave up with the helmets completely and let it see if it would fix on its own. And it did to a point. He does still have a significant flat spot. It's not like super noticeable, but it is still there. And I notice it because I'm his parent. Nobody in public has ever said anything. I don't think they notice because they're not really looking for it. But since I'm his mom, there is times where I do notice it and feel like a bad mom for not being better with the helmets. But you know what? I honestly just was not a fan of those. If you could do natural treatment, do natural treatment. But if you can't, it's just too severe. I'm not saying don't get a helmet, but from my experience, it just was not fun. So the next child I have, I will definitely do things a little differently. Do a lot more tummy time, repositioning as they sleep, just to prevent them from getting a flat head, because this experience was not fun, and it was just not fun. And now he is almost 14 months old, and he doesn't even notice. He doesn't favorite his one spot anymore. He sleeps on his stomach. He flips around on both of his sides. So his flat spot has been getting a little better has gotten significantly better from that. But my advice to you is, if you notice any type of flat spot, don't hesitate to start doing repositioning. Repositioning is like positioning their heads, or when they're taking a nap, like supervised nap if they're younger than like a year old, turn them on their side and during naps only, because even just doing like repositioning during naps will make a significant difference in their head. So if you notice any flat spots and it's not super severe, I definitely suggest natural treatment and repositioning. So like I said, while they're taking naps, if you notice they're on that flat spot, try to move their head or move their body onto so they're sleeping on their side, and make sure you have like a baby cam or just a camera on them so you can keep an eye on them while they're sleeping so they don't roll on their face and suffocate or die, or you know, increase the risk of SIDS or whatever. And if you do notice that it's not helping and it's getting worse, do reach out to your pediatrician and do get a helmet, because if it is not super severe, a helmet can be really effective and almost put their head perfectly round. But from my experience, it was not like that. For Kayson'S case, it was not like that. He had to wear 3 helmets. It was not a fun experience, but you know, it's just a topic that does not get talked about a lot. I had plagiocephaly when I was a baby, and my mom tried to treat it, but the helmets just were not as good as they are today. So my head was kind of left untreated, and there is a bit of asymmetry. My jaw's crooked, everything, and it's always been an insecurity of mine. And you know, I think it's good to get it fixed, because one day your child will grow up and notice or be insecure, feel insecure about their head shape, and you don't want that. So if there's any way you can treat it, do it, because it is worth it. You know, even though the helmets didn't do a huge big change, they did change it to the point where it's not noticeable, and that he will grow up and not be insecure or be like, why is my head not round like everyone else's? You know, like, if you could tell my head's round, it fixed itself, but the asymmetry in my face did not. And so I kind of wish my parents would have just kept the helmet on me, no matter how hard it was. But yeah. Alright guys, I hope this video was helpful for you guys who have a baby with plagiocephaly or brachycephaly or flathead syndrome. I hope this was helpful and made you feel a little bit better about getting a helmet or treating your baby and making you feel good about it. And yeah, this is my advice and just a topic that not a lot of people talk about. So I hope this was helpful, and if it was, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you are new here and want to see more content, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.